AWS, global infrastructure. Okay, so before we touch the global infrastructure or the geographical presence, see when it comes to AWS, you know a little bit, or you might already know about AWS as a platform or Amazon as a company. See, Amazon as a company, they have been in the market for last 30 years. So they started as a online book selling company or a bookstore in 1995. So they are headquartered in Seattle, USA. That many of you know, right? It's a US based company. They are headquartered in Seattle, and they started as a book selling organization online, through which they started providing books for their customer. And then they also had an idea, instead of each customer purchasing their own CDs, VHS, video games, they can also rent it. Okay, so that model, they started selling or renting CDs, VHS, video games, related cassettes, and all those things online. So this is the starting point of their business idea. So they started seeing that instead of customer just unnecessarily holding all these assets at their home, they can just rent it for a couple of days or one day, and then they can watch whatever they need, or they can play whatever game they want, and they can return it, so that this asset can be shared across different consumers. So that is the idea behind the cloud, how it started. And coming to IT specific aspect, so what Amazon started having as an idea. So there were two engineers, Chris and Benjamin. So they thought like a lot of their Amazon created assets can be reused. So that idea they started thinking about, from not just the book, CDs, and other aspects. So they also started thinking the applications that they are developing, the assets that they are developing can be reused. For example, Amazon is a company which started in US, but then they started expanding in different locations, different states within the US, and they also started expanding across the globe. And whatever the assets that they are creating, the software that they are creating, the uh, code that they are writing, the teams are not effectively reusing it. So what they thought is they thought of having a online code platform where all the software that the developers create, all the assets that they create, can be stored in one centralized location, and it could be reused by different development teams for different application. So Amazon had different business application for their need, and they started thinking about reusability of the code and software, which they found very efficient, and that's how the idea of Amazon Web Services started. Okay, so internally, they had infrastructure inefficiencies, reusability challenges, and what those two engineers did is they created a common platform for their internal AWS developers to store the code, to store the template, to store whatever they are creating, and it was effectively reused by different people, programmers and developers within their organization. And the same idea, they thought of bringing it as a e-commerce business over the internet, and they brought it to public cloud platform. So initially, AWS had few services like simple queue service, and even a few more internal services they had initially. But officially, AWS got launched in 2006, as many of you already know. So Amazon Web Services was officially launched in the year 2006. We are 20 years now, since the inception of Amazon Web Services Cloud for the cloud platform. See, the initial idea of reusability, right? They had it in a private platform to start with. Internally, Amazon developers started using it, but then they made it public along with the 2006 launch of AWS. And within 1 year, okay, so they had around 2 lakh developers subscribing to the Amazon cloud platform, and they started reusing the assets that are already available, the software that is already available. They started reusing it. So they saw a very huge incline in the number of consumers within one single year. And then they started thinking like, why not start providing other services. So initially the services they provided is more inclined to application developers. So simple queue service is mainly for integrating or having a queue between two different application. That's the initial service that they launched. And after that, maybe like after 2006, they started providing services like EC2 instances, S3 bucket, and a few more services starting from 2006. And the maximum growth they started achieving is from 2008 to 2012. That is the period when a lot of customers started using EC2 instances, S3 storage, RDS databases, and there are quite a lot of expansion in services. They also started adding CloudFront, CDN offering, and so on. So in 2008 to 2012 is when we can call it as growth phase of AWS. So this is when the competing product from Microsoft also launched. So Microsoft launched the competing product called Windows Azure in around 2010, but then it was not successful because, as you could see from the name, it was more for Microsoft specific workload. They just only offered Microsoft Windows operating system, Microsoft databases, and the customer, they did not really feel the benefit of migrating from their on-premises data center to Microsoft data center, and still they had only the option of having the same operating system, same databases. So it was not a very successful product initially. And then around 2014, Satya Nadella rebranded the Azure platform to Microsoft Azure platform, and then they started providing all the open platform services, or they started giving options to run the workload on Linux platform. So the open source options were given around the say 2013-14 time. So in this meantime, the 4 years, right? So AWS took a lot of customers, and they found this particular model is a very successful model. Around the year 2012 to 13, AWS data center was 5 times larger than all the other competing providers data center size. See, Microsoft is a company who has been offering IT related services in early 90s itself. From 1990s, they are providing different operating system like Windows 95, Windows NT, Windows Millennium Edition. They have been providing different products in 1990s itself. They also had their own data center across the globe. They have been providing software services, the patches, the updates across the globe. Microsoft definitely had data center. Similarly, there were many other companies like HP, IBM, and different companies. All these companies data center put together was 5 times lower the size, or like AWS data center was 5 times sized to all other competing providers data center size. When I say all other computing providers, it includes Microsoft, Oracle, HP, IBM. So all these companies data centers put together, AWS data center was 5 times bigger in size. So that kind of investment they started making until, I mean, I won't say 2012 to 13, from their inception to 2013, they invested quite a lot of money in infrastructure services. They saw that there is a quite a lot of business benefit in running this model, because they have been successful in implementing this model for various aspects, initially for book, initially for CDs and VHS, and then for application specific aspect, and then they started providing infrastructure related aspects as well, and which was a very successful stuff. Then they started doing their enterprise expansion by providing quite a lot of other services for different industry need. So they started providing Lambda functions, Redshift data warehouses. They started providing quite a lot of services from 2013 to 2018. So they started understanding different enterprise need, and they provided different products and services in the same cloud platform. See, by 2015 or 16, this time, the developers count were around 6 billion customers were there around this time itself. So AWS took over the market when Microsoft was reshaping and started providing open source options. So that's the reason AWS you will see as a leader in a cloud platform for the last 15 years, like from 2011 until date. For last 15 consecutive years, AWS is the leader in both infrastructure and platform offering as a service. But as on date, if you are talking about infrastructure plus platform plus software, then Microsoft is leader. The reason is their Microsoft 365 product is a big win for them. So there are quite a lot of customers who are using Microsoft 365, Microsoft Dynamics, Microsoft Intune, and so on. So if you put together all three service model together, Microsoft is the leader currently, especially because of their Microsoft 365 customer. But if you're talking about infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, last 15 years, Amazon is the clear leader, and AWS is still the leader in both this infrastructure and platform as a service segment. So currently they have quite a lot of consumers and stuffs. So after 2018 and above, until date, there has been quite a lot of services in AI, ML, IoT, and data related aspects. There are many different product services that has been launched. We will see what kind of products and services are there on each of these services, like SageMaker. Even there are quite a lot of services around containers and so on. So AWS is the market leader in infrastructure and platform as a service, where if you are talking about all three service model put together, Microsoft is the current leader, especially because of their Microsoft 365 market. Okay, so now coming to the geographical presence of AWS, that is the second topic for today. So when it comes to global infrastructure or geographical presence, so AWS has quite a lot of offering. Okay, so AWS platform is accessible from different geographical locations because customers are accessing it from various different locations. So currently, as on date, 250 plus countries are accessing AWS services from different countries, 250 plus countries. And what AWS has done is they have created multiple different regions, and within that region they have got multiple different data center which can be one data center or multiple data center in a physical location. And on top of that, they also have different options like local zones, wavelength zones, edge locations. And when it comes to specific offering, they also have ground stations for satellite connections. They also have network specific aspects like direct connect and other options like a few more VPN options and so on. And also they have outpost. So when it comes to AWS global presence or geographical offering, presence, they have these different options: regions, availability zone, and local zone. And we'll just start looking at each of these options one by one. So what I will do is I will better open up the latest link here. So I think it is 100 and I think it is 123 availability zone as on date. I will just confirm the number. And they also have 7 availability zone which are being added up. Let me just show you that. I'll cover up that slides, don't worry. Okay, so those are all specific slides on what kind of use cases we can do on AWS. So I'll come to that part shortly. But as on date, AWS has got 123 availability zone, and they have already announced 7 more availability zone. Currently, they have got 39 geographical regions, and they have also announced 2 more region, one in Saudi and one in Chile. And so currently, they are accessing the services from 250 plus countries. 1 minute, let me reshare my screen. Yeah, so yeah, so in order to understand this, what you can do is you can type infrastructure.aws and you will be taken to this particular site. So here is the number, because like AWS is launching new regions and availability zone every week or every month. So this numbers will change, but as on date, they've got 123 availability zone across 39 geographical location. And you can see they have different, see, let's say Asia Pacific, let's say India, we have got 2 specific region, one in Hyderabad and another one in Mumbai. So Hyderabad was recently launched in 2022 with 3 availability zone. Within Hyderabad, they have got 3 availability zone, which means minimum of 3 data centers are there in Hyderabad alone. And similarly in Mumbai, they launched in 2016, 10 years back, and they have got 3 data centers there. So generally, like they have 3 availability zone in a region, and in some cases it might go up to 6 or 7 also. For example, let's say the very first region is North Virginia. So they have got six data centers, six availability zone. Uh, I mean, it's there since 2006 for the last 20 years. This is the first region that they launched, right? So globally, they have got different data centers, and they have grouped those data centers into region, and they have also got global grouping. Okay, so North America, South America, Europe, and so on. So South America, there is quite less servers. I think Chile is still coming up, so you can see the difference here. So if the dot is just a circle, it is coming, it's upcoming location. I think this is one, and another one in Middle East, which is Saudi, which is upcoming, I guess, for AWS. Yeah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So these are the two availability zones which are coming up. See, as a solution architect, you need to know all these things, because that's how you can choose which region or which availability zone is better for your customer workload. See, generally we choose a specific region or availability zone based on five important aspects. Number one is, what is the customer expectation on the availability part? So this is an important metric, right? So when it comes to service level agreement or key performance indicator, each application will have its own availability aspect. So some customer will say their application need 99.99 or 99.95 or 99.90. Based on that, our deployment solution has to have the application running on two different region or two different data center. So based on that, your availability will increase. So based on the high availability need, you need to choose which region, which availability zone is better, and also the latency requirement. So wherever the customer base is, from where the end users are accessing it, which region has low latency, which availability zone has got low latency. And on the other side, it will also depend on the cost ratio as well, right? See, some data center, for example, here, let's say you have Europe as a classical example, right? So when you talk about UK, it is a high cost location based on the currency, based on the employees wages, based on the real estate. So London will be definitely costlier, but then there will be a very similar data center which is of low latency near to UK. So UK, Ireland is very near to UK, right? So if you are running services on Ireland, the real estate cost, the human wages, or the employee salary will be different, and then the cost of maintenance will be different, the infrastructure devices cost will be different, the currency is different, right? So the cost might be different in a nearby country or nearby region. So some people will choose Ireland instead of London just to save some cost, because both of them are having low, say, similar latency, just plus or minus a few millisecond, and the cost is very much cheaper. So what I'm trying to convey here is, cost is not the same across all the region, all the data center, all the availability zone. So cost will differ availability zone to availability zone, region to region, and you might have to choose which is better for your customer budget. Okay, next one is the fault tolerance. What is the level of tolerance you have for your application? Based on that, you can go and choose which particular option out of these will be a suitable option for them. And definitely security aspects, what is their legal compliance security need? Based on their organization application legal compliance need, you can either go for outpost, or you can either go for these zones, or you can go for region. Based on the legal security requirements, you can also choose. And next one is, what is your business offering model? Like, where are the applications running, whether it is running from one country or multiple countries or multiple region. So based on the global reach, global application presence, you can run your application on multiple different locations. So based on these criterias, generally we choose which region is better, or which availability zone is the best option for our application hosting. So on top of this, there are other aspects as well. So let's say the scalability aspect, which data center has got more capacity, and not global scalability, let's say scalability and capacity, and also the flexibility option, whether they have options to kind of convert, resize, change from one particular option to another option. So that kind of flexibility options also can be checked, especially from a hybrid point of view, how we can migrate the workload when business changes their perspective. So if you want to change, so what is the flexibility options that we have? So all those things has to be taken into consideration. You have to factor all of these things before you choose a particular region or zone. Okay, so when it comes to region, region is a kind of logical grouping of availability zones. Availability zones are nothing but data centers or physical location where exactly your data center is deployed. And this physical data centers or physical location, as on date, it is 123 availability zones. AWS has got quite a lot of data centers, and they have also got, think how much, 40, 39. Yeah. So 39 regions plus two regions which are upcoming, and similarly seven availability zones. So total of 130 availability zones is what AWS has got, and you will be able to understand the region by its naming convention. So for example, East US, Mumbai is a region, Hyderabad is a region. Okay, so there are around 39 regions available across the globe. And similarly, there are quite a lot of availability zones. So each availability zone will have its own indicator. So I'll log into the console and I will show you how it looks like for each of these. Just a second. Yeah. So for each of this availability zone, there will be a code or indication, and even there are some subcodes that are available. We will see that shortly while I'm creating some resources. Yeah. Okay, so I'll also share this link. Maybe you can directly use this link, or you can just type infrastructure as infrastructure.aws. It will take you to the same location. You can spend some time on this. Now, coming to each of these options, we will start understanding one option by another and see what is the current count on this. Okay, so as I told you, this region generally we choose based on the lower latency. So whichever the region has got less latency for end users. So if you are running your business from one particular location, let's say Chennai, so Hyderabad is also closer, Mumbai is also closer. But latency wise, Hyderabad might be quickly accessible. Sometimes you might have to choose Hyderabad because of the low latency for your business. If you are running it from the nearest location like Bangalore or Chennai, so both might be of similar latency. So if the cost is less in Mumbai or if the cost is less in Hyderabad, then you can choose whichever business would like to pursue as a better region. So region is a logical geographical location which contains multiple data center, and each region is completely isolated from one another. Okay, so if there is an outage in one region, it will not impact the other region. For example, if you are running one copy of your application in Mumbai, and if you're running another copy of your application server in Hyderabad, so it doesn't mean that one region impact will also impact the other region. So there are chances, if there is a national level disaster, then it might impact both the locations. If there is a network disconnect across the nation, or if there is some chaos going on in and across the country, then both the regions might be impacted. So if your legal security requirements allow you to run application on different geographical locations across, I mean, outside of the country, you can go and choose the secondary region in a different country as well, in a different region as well. But these region, like Mumbai is a separate region, Hyderabad is a separate region, they are completely isolated from one another. One region outage will not always impact the other region. Okay, and you can use all these region based on the data residency requirement, data compliancy requirement. I will just add some key points here. Okay, so region is a logical location grouping of availability zones and contains multiple data centers. So there will be some typos here and there. Kindly adjust. Okay, and you will also have, as I already explained, US East one, Asia Pacific South one, EU East West one. So something like that will be the indication or denotion of the region. So it's completely isolated from each region, and primarily the customer will choose based on the data residency low latency, and based on the cost aspect, they will choose the which region is better for their requirement. And also, of course, region supports DR option. So within the region itself, you have multiple data centers, and even within each availability zone also, in some cases it is a combination of multiple data center. So availability zone doesn't mean always one data center. Sometimes it can be more than one data center also, each availability zones. Okay, so yeah, so it supports DR, business continuity options, strategies. So as a solution architect, we can design our application to run on multiple region or multiple availability zone based on the need. So second category is the availability zones category. So this is always one data center always mostly, and one or more data center. In some cases, it will be more than one data center also. And again, it is isolated from each other from different variable aspects. So each data center has its own power, its own cooling system backend, and of course, within the data center, you know that it has got rack, it has got different network, and so on. So even the internet connections for each data center will be a separate link. So power, cooling, and network will always be independent. In some cases, you will also have independent other aspects as well, but primarily these three aspects are always independent for each availability zone. And one more thing is like all these availability zones are interconnected. So the network will be very high speed between all these availability zone within the region. If you are having one application running on availability zone 1, availability zone 2 and 3, all these application interconnection will be much quicker because they are all having a direct interconnection fiber network cable. So that will give you very low net latency. Okay, so next one is your local zone. So local zone is a interesting concept. So generally, when it comes to certain metropolitan areas, for example, Chennai, Bangalore, so they have quite a lot of companies running their applications, and they might need their users to access certain application with very low latency. Similarly, there might be some industrial sector where they might have to have some testing done in a very quick way. For example, live streaming of some current um, matches or current sports live streaming, or it can be like live streaming of some specific political agendas, or it can be live real-time gaming of some application. So there are quite a lot of real-time application which needs very ultra low latency, very low latency. So for such cases, what Amazon is providing as an option called local zone. Local zone is bringing the AWS infrastructure closest to the business, closest to the city or metropolitan area where you are operating your business. So let's see which are the local zones that are available here. That way you will get some better understanding. So here, let's go to Asia Pacific. So Asia Pacific, within that, okay, they've got edge location. So you can see that Chennai is there as a edge location. Similarly, Pune is there as a edge location. And they definitely have one more in Mumbai. Mumbai has primary as well as this, and of course Bangalore, right? So these are all like financial headquarters, IT headquarters, and these locations they have different businesses. Even if there is a infrastructure or specific industrial presence, they will have a catching location to enhance the speed of the connectivity. But that is different. But let me show you one more thing. So we are inside the regional location. That's the reason you are not able to see the local zones. See, there are around 43 local and 33 wavelength zones. So 43 local zones, and there are around 33. Okay, sorry, I already copied it. And okay, so there are around 33 wavelength zone. Again, the purpose is the same for low latency application. Okay, just let's look at that. Okay. See, what they are clearly saying is they are bringing the AWS infrastructure related core services to more cities, more metros for low latency data residency and AIML. See, what they generally do is they generally provide only the core services, not all the services. Like, let's say, like the core services are like EC2, S3, VPC. These are all called as core services, right? So what they generally do in some of the metros or some of the data center locations, they bring the core services closer to the customer location. I will just get you that list here. So go to the location. See, recently they have added a couple of locations, Istanbul, and it is already available in 30 plus metropolitan city. You can see that they have got a couple of locations here. So in Delhi, they have got a local zone, and Kolkata also has got a local zone for an example. See, what they are trying to do is they will create a nearest data center location. It's not a full fledged region kind of or availability zone kind of data center. Instead, it is a kind of small data center that they will develop. It might be a generally, like, it might be fully owned by AWS, or sometimes it might be a co-located location. For example, it might be a co-location with SIFI or Reliance or different geo or different data center. So they might already have the data center's location space, and they will have a co-location facility. They will purchase couple of racks or few racks, and then they will run the core services there, so that the people from that particular metros or cities, they can access the core services for their business application. So generally the use cases are the video gaming or live streaming or video rendering. So these kind of companies, they need very low latency for their real-time application. So the need is very low latency for real-time application. So even the Google Maps or different stuffs, you are expecting real-time updates, right? For that, this is, you can call local zone as a kind of extension of a region. Okay, local zone is a extension of a region. The reason I'm clearly calling it out, see, generally people will consume all the services from region. Sometimes some of the core services, they might expect it to run in their local metro, in their local city. So in such cases, the business will use the AWS region. I will show you how to select the local region, how to consume services from the local region. That option is there. So many companies, for example, Netflix, Ubitus, Mindbody. So these are all companies which are heavily using this local zone. So Netflix is coming under the live streaming category, right? Similarly, Ubitus and Mindbody, they use local zones extensively. So the next category is the wavelength zone category. See, this is mainly for the solution architects, okay? So in general, these two terms are commonly used, regions and availability zone. And after that, maybe you might need to have some basic understanding of direct connect. So these are all most common. Every Okay, so every customers use these options. Sorry, I will just close this. So these are all commonly used by all the organization, and some companies, they use these options case to case. Edge location also is becoming a very common normal. Okay, so ground station is very, very rare because it is only for connecting the satellites. The companies who are relying on satellite, they will be using the ground station. Direct connect, any large enterprises, right? They might be using direct connect. So it is also heavily used. Outpost also, it depends on case to case. If a customer want to have their own private cloud, they might also use the outpost. I would say it's a rare scenario. Okay, so in such cases, you need to be very familiar with region, availability zone, and direct connect. And next level, you need to understand these three concepts: local zone, wavelength zone, and edge location. And also, I mean, better you understand all the aspects, but the level of understanding um, needs to be more for the services which are commonly used. Okay, next one is the wavelength zone category. So what AWS has done is they have come up with a tie-up with different telecom provider. So from the name itself, it is wavelength zone. Okay, so wavelength is provided by communication services providers, right? So communication services provider. There are many communication services across the globe. So commonly like Verizon, KDDI, and there are many other companies across the globe. So they are providing 5G edge network or edge offering through their data center. So what AWS has done is they have created a tie-up with these provider like Verizon, KDDI, and when they create a tie-up with this particular provider, what they can do is AWS can allow developers to develop and run application on these wavelength zones. So that means like it is going to provide ultra low latency. See, the terminology might be very similar, but then I'm using, see here in region, I used low latency. In local zone, I used very low latency. And then here I'm saying ultra low latency, which means it's sub millisecond speed you will get if you are running your application on wavelength zone. And here it will be millisecond latency. Sometimes it will be a little higher in uh, region concept. So the more you choose the options, local zones will be lower, very lower in latency, but wavelength zone will be ultra low in latency. It will be sub millisecond speed you will get. You will get ultra low latency, and also you have direct integration with telecom providers. For example, your IoT applications or let's say autonomous vehicle applications, right? So those are all definitely something which needs very high updates to your application. So if the autonomous vehicle is on the road, it cannot have false information or it cannot have delayed information or delayed update. So it has to react based on the live streaming of the satellite communication that is coming from the satellites. So for which the application which is being used on the autonomous vehicle, it needs to have ultra low latency updates for their application. So they are definitely using it. And similarly, like artificial AR, VR related applications, right? So virtual reality applications, they are using this wavelength zone heavily. So you can go to the same site. You can spend some more time and understanding who are all the companies who are using wavelength zone. There are quite a lot of explanation available there. So when you get some time, just go through all of these. It's not very, very important, but for some customers, you might have to choose this option in order to achieve these benefits and so on. I will just add these. Sorry. So I've added the link on the sheet. I will share the sheet today, and you can also spend some time to understand what is this offering and how which customers are using it and what kind of use cases are there. Next one is edge location. Okay, so let's look into that. Next is edge location. Okay, so from the name itself, you can see that there is a word called edge. Edge is nothing but the content which you are accessing frequently. The end users are accessing some of the application, and through which it is the content, it is the data that they are accessing it, right? So that data or the content which are frequently used, it will be cached on the location closer to the end user. Okay, so that is called edge location. So some people call it as CloudFront or Content Delivery Network, CDN. It's all the same terminology. And of course, there are other services like Route 53 and other stuff, which also helps with this catching aspects. So the expectation from the customer, the benefit is like they want the content to be available faster. The content delivery should be quick, and then the latency should be quick for the end users. So AWS is providing a lot of edge location, and you saw it on the region list itself. Chennai also had a, okay, just a second. So CloudFront is here, and you can also see that along with So in Asia Pacific, you also had 23 edge location, and you can see Chennai, Pune, and these locations has got the edge location. And similarly, there are other aspects as well. So there are some edge catching location alone, and there are some edge network location. So edge network location, it is a tie-up with some network vendor. They have a specific data center with storage capacity to do the catching and all those stuff. So there are two categories within the edge location itself. Okay, some providers like some customers, some application owner, business owner, they might have their own choice. They might go for Akamai or other third party catching solution. That is up to them. The business can decide which edge location, which catching to use. Some customer, they use CloudFront, which is a native offering from AWS to catch the content which are being frequently used on a particular location. So the next under the okay, so next is the ground location. Okay, so feel free to interrupt me anytime you feel that you're not clear with a particular topic or a particular concept. Just stop me there. See, ground station, it's as I said earlier, it's mainly to control the satellite communication. Before this particular product was launched, the companies who are having some research activities being done on the weather aspect or space or climatic condition, they used to have their own data center application running the applications on their data centers. So now AWS provides an option called ground station. So those application which are interlinked with space industry or climate or weather monitoring, right? Those companies can now use the ground station. So it's a kind of shared facility. See, people are going and renting. People are going and utilizing the existing space so that it's a shared location. Instead of spending the complete investment to have their own ground station to connect to satellite, what AWS is providing is they are providing a ground station location. So as a customer, we can grow and run our application in that ground station so that it is a shared facility. So you can leverage the network benefit, the infrastructure benefits, and then the investment can also be reduced if you're going and using the AWS provided ground station for connecting to satellite. So next one is the direct connect. Okay, so direct connect and outpost. There are two topics under this. We'll quickly complete that. See, direct connect, you might have already heard about it. So direct connect is a physical network connection that you can establish from your own organization. Physical network connectivity between customer data center or your own on-premises facility. Sometimes some customers are running it on third party also, right? Between customer data center on-premises and AWS data center. So you can also have your own network connectivity to enhance the speed of data transaction between your applications running on your own data center and AWS data center. So when you have this direct connect, you get full dedicated network capacity. So you can have good speed, throughput will be there, and the efficiency will be more, and you will also get consistent network performance because you own the network circuit and no one is leveraging it. It will definitely be lower latency comparing with the network. So of course that is important. So lower latency compared to network, compared to internet. The main important point is the security aspect. The data is not going on the internet. Instead, rather it is going on your own direct network cable. So people cannot easily do kind of eavesdropping or sniffing is tougher because it's your own dedicated cable. Okay, and this is mainly for hybrid cloud environment. When customer is having workloads running on their own data center and AWS data center, generally they go for this direct connect circuit, and mainly it is for enterprise data center transfer use cases. So or I would say regular data transfers like backup, archiving, or it can be like apps, hybrid cloud workload. Okay, I will just keep it simple. So hybrid cloud workload, I have already given some examples here. So you can just pick and choose all these examples as use cases for direct connect. Okay, I'll just keep it there for reference. The last one is the outpost. Okay, so last one is a private cloud offering from AWS. If you want to have the AWS kind of experience in your own data center, like self-service portal, accessing, creating the resources on demand, and so on, you can deploy this outpost. So it's a private cloud offering from AWS. You can have it run in your own data center on premises, and the offering, the product itself is fully managed by AWS. You get the same level of support and stuff, but it's mainly for legal security requirements. So you want the benefits of AWS offering, but you want all the applications and data to be residing in your own data center. You can just go for this private cloud solution called Outpost. So these are the different geographical presence options that AWS is providing, and you need to be familiar primarily on the dark green ones, and the other ones also you can learn when you get some time. Just go to this link and understand. See, the numbers will change. Okay, so we don't have to capture the numbers will change day in day out. And there are other offering like snow family and other aspects which we will discuss when we touch that particular storage topic or other topics. Okay, any questions on these AWS global presence or options?
Yes, Stan, I have one query.
Yeah, yeah, please. So,
So if you are using a multiple region specific database, how the
mhm.
data flow will be?
There are options. Okay, so for example, you have peering options which you can create for. There are multiple network level options which we will discuss. But to answer your question, so you can have peering between two different VPCs or regions to interconnect those systems at the network level, so the data can remain within AWS network. Or if you are just connecting by default, it goes through the public internet. That option can also be done. So if you want it to be secure and fast, then you can do the peering. And there are other direct connect options that you can establish. You can also go for VPN if you want to secure the connectivity between two different region. And of course, there are other direct connect options at the service level. So you have direct connect for let's say if you want to connect only S3, or if you want to connect some specific services, AWS also provides you direct linking options, which we will discuss during the network session. But
Yeah,
by
sure.
default, it is through the public internet, Jagan. If you want to make it more secure and faster, you can utilize the peering and VPN kind of solutions.
Okay. So it will be any latency like during the data sync, or it will be immediate?
See, latency will be higher in internet when you go for the internet, but AWS backbone is primarily providing security aspect, but latency also will be better.
Okay.
So if you're going for
Yeah,
peering,
got it.
indirectly you are using AWS network backbone. That is the change here. Instead of using the public internet
Okay.
backbone, you are using AWS network backbone, which is safer and secure as well as lower in latency.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Understood. Okay, fine. Then one more top.
Stan,
Go
here
ahead.
regarding local zone,
Hmm.
so we'll be having only the core service will be available. Whether we'll be having one or more data centers similar to available zone, or how it will be?
No, local zones are generally one data center maximum. I
Only
don't.
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
for now it's not more than one data center, but it might expand based on the city need. Okay, see for example, in a particular city, you might have IT operating. Let's say Chennai as a typical example, right? The IT hub is on the one side, like on the complete southern side, right, in the OMR side, and maybe like some of the industries are operating from the western side of the city, right? So maybe in the future they might have local zones, one for the industry needs and one for the IT needs and so on. So it depends on the geography and the business need. But for now, it is generally one local zone. I have not seen many local zones in a particular metro city, but in future it might become two or three also. Yeah,
Okay, Stan. Thank you.
sure, Asla.